Well, welcome back, everybody. We're kicking off the 4-speed swap. I'm gonna break this up into a couple videos. We're gonna do I'm gonna start on the clutch pedals, column, Z-bar, all that today. Once I get it, we'll do a little video of just putting the transmission, transfer case in. I'm fortunate this truck has the bolt-in center hump. I had a buddy of mine who used to have an A-frame built with a come-along on it, and that's the way he changed these transmissions out. If they had a bolt-in hump, he would pull the hump out, put that little A-frame in the floorboard, and winch them up in there. Worked out pretty good, but I don't have nothing like that. I borrowed a transmission jack from a friend of mine. That's going to be trying to bench press it out of there. So hang around. We're fixing to get started, get the column changed out, brake pedals, clutch pedals all swapped out, get all that ready. Then I'm gonna have to drill a hole in the floorboard for my clutch rod. I really wish I had hydraulic pedals, but I don't. So I'm gonna be using the old Z-bar mechanical linkage. So hang around. We're fixing to get started, and hopefully I'll be driving this around with a 4-speed in it next weekend. All right, we're gonna start off here getting the 4 bolts out of the booster master cylinder assembly. You want to take the 4 bottom bolts off. They're 15 millimeter on this one. Really no need to take the top ones off. They just go through the firewall and help hold the booster assembly. So by just taking the 4 bottom ones off, you can leave the booster master cylinder hanging on the firewall. So I'm going to get those 4 bottom bolts removed, and also going to get the steering shaft. This is the XJ shaft that I put on the steering column back when I was building the truck. So we're going to get it removed, get those 4 bolts out, and then we'll move to the inside. All right, we got the 4 bolts off the bottom of the master cylinder booster, and I just pulled the bolt out of the steering shaft for right now. Instead of trying to collapse it and swing it in there with a hammer and prying, I'm going to just pull the column back out of it. I'm going to kind of tie it up to the booster, keep it from just slamming down, hitting something. So you're also going to want to remove your automatic shift linkage off of the column. It goes down to the transmission from the gear selector. So I'm going to pull that Carter pin out. I believe that's a Carter pin. It may not be. I'm going to pull that pin out and just slide that shift rod back off the column. About forgot about these 2. There is 2 bolts, one here and here on each side of the column. That is what holds the bottom of the column in. And if yours had as much gunk sprayed on it as mine, have fun taking a screwdriver and getting all that out to where you can get a socket. They're 15 millimeter also. That's everything out here, other than I did go ahead and remove my torque converter lockup vacuum module. I'm going to end up tracing down that vacuum line, blocking it off, probably leave the wiring. It's in the loom, probably just tie it up here in the loom. May hang on to the little vacuum module. Don't know that I'll ever need it again, but it might come in handy for somebody someday. I'm bad just to hang on to everything. And I'll end up pulling the distributor cap when I go to take the transmission. We'll get to that when we go to pulling it out, though. I always pull those off because I have cracked a few of them. So to remove the column, we're going to take that bolt. There's about 4 10 millimeter bolts under here that bolts the plate to it. Those are going to come out. You're going to want to unhook your turn signal wires, starter wires down on the ignition switch, and your reverse light wires off of the automatic column. The manual column, the reverse light wires won't hook up on there. The switch is on the 4-speed, so we're going to have to get creative with a little pigtail of wires to go down to get the reverse lights to work. But so I'm going to get started. I'm going to get all the wiring unhooked, remove these 10 millimeter bolts off the floor plate, and then we'll remove these 2, and the column should be ready to come out. All right, so I've got the column laid down to this point. Once you get it to here, unhook your ignition wires off the ignition switch. This is your ignition switch on top of the column. I've got my neutral start wires. That's the purple and yellow. Probably going to figure out a way to hook them up to a clutch switch. And then I have my reverse wires right here. Both of those will be down on the automatic column down toward the bottom. Purple and the yellow start, and the green and blue are your reverse lights. So I'm going to fix a pigtail to go to the 4-speed off of these and try to find a clutch switch for the old style clutch pedals and hook this up to a clutch switch. Alright, I wish I had a way to set the camera up in here, but there's not much room. So I got my neutral safety switch wires unhooked. Like I said, I'm going to try to hook those to the clutch pedal. Reverse lights, got both of those. This one just has a clip, it lifts up on the top. This one just slides off. There's a clip in the wiring harness. There's a clip in the wiring harness right here. If you'll take a pair of pliers and pop that out from this side, that will give you slack to get the ignition wires out of the ignition switch. This was my brake light switch and torque converter cruise. The thing had an aftermarket cruise kit on it. There's a switch down there for, I believe it's for the torque converter to stop. They've been tapped into. It had a trailer brake box built into it. So I've got all the wiring unhooked, all the bolts out. 5 10mm bolts into the firewall plate, the 2 on the outside, the steering shaft bolt, and the 2 15mm bolts holds it up into the dash. And I'm gonna pull the column out. Once we get this out, I'm gonna turn in on the pedals, get the brake pedal assembly out, get the clutch pedal assembly put in. I think I'll get hooked back up just like it was, with the exception of these 4 wires here. For now, we're gonna jump these 2 so the truck will start. Like I said, I'm gonna try to find a clutch switch to put a clutch safety switch on it. This was the neutral safety switch. That's your start wires. And my tail light wires, my reverse lights. I'm gonna probably have to cut these, splice into them, and fix me a pigtail to go to the sm465. Will have a reverse light switch somewhere. There's somewhere right here by the bell housing. All right, so with the column removed, all you've got, we've already took the 4 bolts out by the booster that hold the brake pedal assembly up. And these 2 bolts back here hold the back side up. Other than that, the only thing you like getting your pedals out once the column is out is remove the pin. I already removed mine. I should have left it in there, but there's a pin goes through right here. Remove that pin and then take out this 14mm bolt. What it'll do is take this bracket off and you can swing this off to the side. Another thing to note, I kind of forgot about, if the truck's never had the pedals taken out before, you're going to have these little safety washers. Holds the back side up. Just take you a screwdriver, pry those off, open them up. I think they're only on one. Yeah, this one only has one on one side, but check. You may have one on both sides. Pry those off, and then the pedal assembly will fall out. All right, so there's the automatic pedals, the manual pedals. I bought new bushings and put in the clutch pedal. I wish I ordered enough for the brake. I didn't even check them to see if it needed them. Just while I was ordering some stuff, I thought I'd get them because a lot of pressure on the clutch pedal. The bushings and the brake pedal on the automatic are really good. It's tight, so I'm going to pull these bushings out of this one, put in that one. I'll do a little video right here, show you how to change them, tighten the pedals up. All right, so to change these bushings in these pedals, just pull the main bolt out. It's a 11/16 nut, 5/8 wrench on the other side of the bolt side, and I'm going to take the impact and just zip it out. Once you get it, pull the bolt out. Push the pin out, the sleeve, and there's your bushing on it. These bushings are a lot better than the ones in the manual. So I'm going to throw the manual one up here, zip the brake pedal out of it. I already put new bushings in the clutch pedal. So I wish I'd have ordered new ones for the brake. Didn't really think about it. So we're going to get them put in there. And I'm going to just set this one to the side and get the manual one and get the bushings put in it. As you can see, that pedal's got quite a bit of slop. I put new bushings in the clutch pedal. It's tight. So I'm going to zip this one off. Not going to pull the bolt all the way out because I already done the clutch side. I'm going to just pull it back enough to get the brake pedal out. And as you can see, those bushings are wore down quite a bit. So I'm hoping you can see this. I'm going to put these bushings out of the old pedal in it. Should tighten it up some. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be better than it was. That's all we're looking for. Better, more better. Get the bolt run back through it. Nut back on it. And tighten it up. And that is torqued about where it needs to be torqued. Yeah, that tightened the pedal up a lot. There's no play in it now. All right, so I'm going to change out this brake switch. Like I mentioned, if I use the one that had the torque converter lock up, I believe if I do it, I can run a brake box off of the other side of it. Since I don't need the torque converter locked up no more, I'll hang on to this one just in case. Which I've got the wrong type of plug too, so that's another reason I want to run the one that was in the truck off the automatic pedals. Yeah, we're gonna put this one on there. I think I can run a brake box off of this other switch. Your brake lights will go off the back, and I think I can run a brake box for trailer brakes off of that one. These just pop in and out through like a spring loaded. I didn't really show you that, but they just pop in and out. And that's kind of sticky. We may end up getting a new one. All right, so we're gonna get the pedals put in. All right, I don't know how much of this you can see, but I'm gonna try to film this, getting these pedals back up in here. It's kind of a tight fit right in here, especially with the spring. Mainly, you just want to get your 4 studs that's on your pedal assembly back through the holes into the booster, through the firewall. So I'm gonna try to get my noggin down here. Get in there. Get on in there. I'm gonna pull this spring off, so I'm not having to fight the clutch pedal to push the pedal assembly all the way in. I tried to save as much of my padding on the firewall as I could, but that didn't work out too good. That didn't work out too good at all. They're going to wiggle, wobble, wiggle it up there. So I've got them in place. I'm going to take a nut, start on back here, and voila, pedals are in. So what I'm going to do next is, you know what, I'll probably go ahead and just snap some of these wires kind of back where they were at, in there. I can find a hole for them to fit in. I don't even need that one, but just to kind of get them out of the way. I don't need them either, but I'm going to plug it up. All right. Next, let's go ahead and get the column laid up in here. I'll probably end up knocking the camera over
getting it
All
in
right,
place.
so I've got my column in place pretty well. I've got it stuck through the firewall. Got it ready to go up here and bolt in. I went ahead and run my wires around. There's a clip down here that holds these wires up to the column. Got my ignition switch wires plugged in, my turn signal wires. I should also mention this truck is a 83. The wipers are on the dash. If you have a 83 down and you're putting an 84 up column, you're going to have more wiring to do. They have a true multifunction switch up here in the turn signal. It controls the wipers and all that. So you're going to have to do some cutting. I've done that once, but that's been 20 years ago. And it was kind of a pain, and to me, not really worth it. I mean, I don't mind the wipers being here. I think it's actually a cleaner look just having a little turn signal handle on the column. So, but anyway, enough of that. We're going to go ahead and get the column picked up into place and get a bolt started. Get it loosely started under the pedal assembly. The only thing I like hooking up under here would be my brake light switch, wherever it is. That's it. And I'm gonna clean it up some. It had a, like I said, it had a brake box on it before, and if I put a brake box back on the truck, I'm gonna cut this pigtail off of the torque converter lockup and use the bottom part of that switch. That was the reason I put the automatic brake light switch back in the truck. That, and I have the correct plug for the brake side that way. So anytime I ever replace it, it will be with an automatic one. And like I said, this is my neutral safety wires and my reverse light wires. They're going to just be down here for now until I get some stuff to rig them up. I'll probably jump the neutral safety for now, just until I can get a clutch switch for it. And that's going to want to fall on me, so I'm going to lay that down, take the nut off, try to hold the pedal assembly bracket up. I'll get that up and get a nut started on both of them together. Once I get this, I'm going outside back under the hood and get everything tightened up under there. I'm going to just loosely start these two bolts. I don't want to tighten those until I get the column, the pedal assembly tightened up to the firewall, and then these will slide forward a little bit, and then I can tighten it all up. I know, trust me, it looks like a hassle, but it is going to be worth it in the long run. Like, you cannot beat a 4-speed in one of these trucks. Unless you have an ND 4500, then I guess you could. Oh, that looks so much better already. Having 3 pedals in there. Heck yeah. Woo, doggy. I'm ready. Ready to run. All right, so I'm gonna go back out here, show you what I'm doing outside. Pretty much just gonna be putting all those bolts back on, putting the lower clamp back on, putting the steering shaft back on, and I'll be right back in a minute when I get all that pretty well tidied up. You know, another thing I want to mention, and I didn't talk about this probably enough in the ignition lock cylinder video, but these columns, the shaft has a groove cut in it, just a small notch. When you're putting these in, make sure that it's pointed up. If you don't, your turn signals canceller will not work right. The green button behind this, when I was doing the ignition, that is what has the 2 ears for the turn signal cancelers. And if that is not lined up right, you will not get your turn signals to cancel. And my lighting here is awful. Hopefully you can see that notch. Make sure that is pointed up before you connect your steering column up. All right, so got the 4 bolts back through the pedals into the booster. Got the 2 bolts tightened back up and the column clamped in at the firewall. Got my steering shaft hooked back up. The only thing I like doing out here is the torque converter lockup switch. This little doohickey right here. I'm going to unplug the wires, leave the wiring. I'm actually going to use some of the wiring that goes down to the transmission. I got to thinking that's right next to my reverse light switch on the sm465. So I'm going to use 2 of these wires and wire them back into the reverse light where the switch was at on the automatic. But for right now, I'm going to unplug this. I'm going to trace this vacuum line down and put a cap on it because we'll no longer be using that. Other than that, everything out here is good. I'm done under the dash. I'm going to leave this panel off till I'm completely through. I've still got to drill the hole for the rod. I tried to save as much of my insulation as I could. It didn't turn out too good. It's so dry and just crumbled. So I am going to, when I sound deaden the floor, probably going to cut that section out and put a couple layers of sound deadening around the column boot. And other than that, I got all 5 of the bolts in through the firewall boot. Got the bolts up here tightened up and everything is done. Got the switch in. I'm leaving the steering wheel off for now and the blinker handle until I get completely done under here. They're just kind of make it in the way, more in the way. So that's going to be about it for this video. Be sure and stay tuned on the next one. I'm going to get the 700 R4 pulled out, get the 465 in here. Really, this ain't that bad of a job. I know a lot of people dread it. What I just done, the pedals column, to me is one of the worst parts of doing it. And it took me probably 2.5 hours to pull the old ones out, put the new ones in. So it's not that bad of a job. You know, the worst thing with the transmission is just getting it up there. I borrowed a transmission jack, so we're going to see how that works on this. Probably going to put the jack under the transmission and put my floor jack under the transfer case just to kind of balance it out and let them down together. So be sure and stick around for that video. It'll be coming out here hopefully not too long after this one does, because I'm fixing to climb underneath there and start tearing it out right now. So so hang around and watch it come together. I mean, I'm tickled, like seeing that 3rd pedal in there. Yeah, takes me back to the 90s, early 90s, early 90s. Yeah, I may grow me a mullet out, get this thing on the road. So so hang around, watch the rest of it. Going to enjoy your first drive. Going to try to come out with a pretty good video of it once we get it in here, if everything seems like it goes good. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.